will call to order the meeting for Wednesday, November 12th. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Allen,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Clayton,
Present.
Commissioner Kaler,
Present.
Commissioner Crowley,
Present.
and Commissioner Skidmore.
And present.
I would like to welcome everyone here in the audience as well as anyone watching or listening at home. We will begin today's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Pastor Dakota Smith with Ottawa Bible Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How's it going, everyone? This is a beautiful building, man. First time I've been in here today. So just wanted to bring a word to you from Jesus in Luke chapter 14. We're getting closer to Thanksgiving, and so there will be meals that we share around the table. This is what he says. He began speaking a parable to the invited guests when he noticed how they had been picking out the places of honor at the table, saying to them, when you are invited by someone to a wedding feast, do not take the place of honor, for someone more distinguished than you may have been invited by him. And he who invited you both will come and say to you, give me your place to this man, and then in disgrace you proceed to occupy the last place. But when you are invited, go and recline at the last place, so that when the one who has invited you comes, he may say to you, friend, move up higher. Then you will have honor in the sight of all who are at the table with you. And then Jesus, in a very Hebrew way, says, here's the conclusive statement. Everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. It's been said before that there's no trophy at the starting line, there's trophies at the finish line. And so I just want to encourage you with that leadership piece. Make sure you humble yourself first, and God will lift you up. So with all that being said, let's pray for today's agenda. Thank you so much for giving me time on the mic. Father, thank you so much for everyone in this room. We thank you that God, you have placed value on everyone's life. We thank you for our leadership. Lord, we place before you this agenda from the public comments and the appointments and the consent agenda, the declarations, unfinished business, new business, comments and announcements. We thank you so much for our leadership, Lord. We pray that every little detail done here in our community would be pleasing to you and would serve the people. We love you. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Pastor. We will now go on to public comments. Do we have any registered?
We have 2 registered.
Okay.
Deidre Altic.
Okay. I'll read this real quick and then you can go. Subject to the above restrictions, persons who wish to address the city commission regarding items on the agenda may do so as that agenda item is called. Persons who wish to address the city commission regarding items not on the agenda and that are under the jurisdiction of the city commission may do so at this time when called upon by the mayor. Comments on personnel matters and matters pending in court or with other outside tribunals are not permitted. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Any presentation is for information purposes only. The governing body will take comments under advisement. And please state your name.
My name is Deidre Altic, and I live at 716 East 10th. My family has lived there for 32 years. I'm here to encourage you to do something about our brick streets, specifically east of Cedar Street and south of First Street. This would include South Oak, Poplar, Mulberry, Sycamore, and Cherry. I don't think any of you live in this area, so maybe you don't realize how awful they are. But I challenge you to drive back and forth down these streets and on East 9th Street to Lincoln. I've paid my taxes for all these years, as well as the people who live in these neighborhoods, and we've seen virtually no improvement to those streets. I realize the street in front of my house is paved, but when my kids were young, we'd ride our bikes to the library or city park, and it's not a comfortable ride. Now we ride and we also walk and push the stroller with our grandkids. There's still many kids that ride their bikes on these streets. The bricks are separating. There are holes, the curbs are non-existent in places, and if there are sidewalks, they leave a lot to be desired. It's dangerous. I think that all our neighborhoods deserve improvements. I understand that some people think the brick streets are beautiful and historic, but they probably don't have to drive on them every day. The 2 blocks that border OU on the east, 9th through 11th Street on Mulberry, are well-traveled by OU students and are seen by visitors to the college, and that reflects on our city. At the May 7th meeting, you had a street report that rated most of the brick streets as needing rehab. I'm asking you to start this immediately and to please share with us your plan and what streets you'll start with. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
George Ogle.
George Ogle, I live at 1305 South Elm. I hate public speaking. I really hate this. I'm just going to read this. I'm writing this to express my continuing and growing concern with how my subdivision development project is being handled by the city of Ottawa. This is now the third time I've stood before you with similar or nearly identical problems. Despite months of effort to resolve them, the same issues persist. And they're now beginning to carry over into my next project, which I'm seriously considering abandoning as well. I worked through repeated mistakes, delays, lost emails, lack of staff, poor decisions, poor staffing, and communication. I've cooperated through unqualified or overextended employees and confusion between departments. I've spent countless hours trying to help fix issues that should have never been happened in the first place. I've been patient, respectful, and solution-oriented throughout. But now I'm faced with a situation that's gone beyond reason. I'm being required to spend roughly $200,000 to acquire some land before the city will finalize the development plan. Yet I'm not allowed to know the full cost figures that the city will require until after the final plat is recorded. It's not a reasonable or transparent process. To make sound business decisions, I must know the total project costs and financial requirements before investing further. The bank is willing to provide 70% of appraised value for infrastructure, and I've already committed roughly 250 grand out of pocket to make the project feasible. The city, however, requires 125% of public infrastructure cost to be verified as available. That would be fine, except the city engineer his inflated numbers are being used in place of the verified contractor bids I've already provided. On September 2nd, I submitted a sewer bid from a well-known qualified local professional, someone who handles private projects and I believe also performs work for the city of Ottawa. The city engineer responded with his own estimate, claiming my contractor's bid was unrealistically low. His version was 57.4% higher. Even though he agreed the material pricing was the same and only altered the labor cost. Okay. I went back to my contractor, asked him to double check his numbers, and he confirmed their accuracy. I also explained to city staff that there is no street cut or traffic control required since the sewer is already stubbed out onto the property, something verified by Ottawa Public Works. I've asked repeatedly since the first week of September that the city engineer or staff sit down with me and my contractor to discuss this discrepancy directly. My goal has never been to argue or to reach it, only to reach an informed, realistic conclusion. That discussion still has not taken place. Instead, I received an email from the city manager telling me I need to get a more realistic bid. To be honest, that statement was disrespectful and unnecessary. My contractor is licensed, experienced, and has done professional work throughout Ottawa, including city projects. I trust his expertise. If the city engineer or city manager truly believe that I or my contractor do not know what we are doing or that this property is not developable, then please tell me that now. I will stop spending my own money on a process that appears designed to fail. I have no investors. Every dollar involved in this project is mine. I've already invested about 70 grand and stand to lose another 200 grand if I move forward blindly based on inflated or unknown numbers. If this cannot be resolved immediately and transparently, I will extend and ultimately cancel the land purchase. I would rather accept a smaller loss now than risk a far greater one later on an undevelopable property. Undevelopable not because of physical limitations, but because of administrative obstructions. For context, I want the commission to understand that I'm not someone who's just builds here. I invest in this community in every sense. Over the past 5 to 7 years, I've brought between $8 and $9 billion of private investment into Ottawa's economy through new homes, construction work, local business activity. I've also brought a sober living home to Ottawa. I serve on a local board. I counsel people struggling with addiction. I help finance and start other local businesses. I donate both my time and money to people and causes here. I believe in community and I do my part to strengthen Ottawa. I understand that certain conditions must be met for plat approval and RHID qualifications, and I respect that process. But realistic numbers, as the city manager referred to them, have to go both ways. The city wants to ensure that I can afford to complete the project. I need to ensure that the project remains financially viable. I'm appearing for the Planning Commission tonight at 7 p.m. for the final plat approval, and I'll be reading this statement to the City Commission at 4 p.m. today. My land closing is scheduled for Friday, contingent upon city approval. At this stage, I'm requesting the following from the City Commission. Direct city staff and the city engineer to use verified contractor bids as the factual basis for cost calculations, or at a minimum, to engage in an appropriate discussion with me and my contractor to reach a fair and accurate conclusion, as I've been requesting since early September. The city manager's recent offer to let me speak with the city engineer is the same opportunity I've been asking for since I first submitted the bid. If my verified bids will not be accepted, then have your engineer formally bid the project himself and provide me with your total number and infrastructure. That would at least give me clarity and allow me to make a sound business decision based on facts rather than speculation. I would also make clear whether the city actually wants this development to move forward or not. I've worked in good faith and shown patience, cooperation, and commitment to Ottawa's growth. What I need in return is simple: honesty, transparency, and respect.
Thank you. We will go on to appointments, proclamations, recognitions, and nominations. We'll start with a proclamation recognizing November as Native American Heritage Month. This proclamation honors and celebrates the contributions of Native Americans to the nation's social, cultural, and political history. Anastasia Swire and Donald Anderson, Ottawa University, will accept the proclamation, which will be read by Commissioner Kaler.
Greetings, everyone. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the city of Ottawa, Kansas is proud to acknowledge and celebrate the rich and diverse cultures, histories, and contributions of Native Americans, both past and present. And whereas the city of Ottawa recognizes the importance of honoring the Indigenous peoples of this land and their enduring impact, including their traditions, languages, and customs. And whereas Native Americans were the first to create cities, domesticate crops, and establish great civilizations in the Americas. And whereas the state of Kansas is historically home to many Native nations, including Ottawa, Osage, Kansa, Miami, Delaware, Pawnee, and many other nations utilized the land currently within and surrounding the Franklin County and City of Ottawa area as their hunting grounds. And whereas Kansas is the current home to 4 federally recognized Native nations, the Prairie Band Potawatomi, the Prairie Band Potawatomi, the Kickapoo Tribe of Kansas, the Iowa Tribe of Kansas and Nebraska, and the Second Fox Nation of Missouri and Kansas and in Nebraska. And whereas the Ottawa Nation, after whom our city is named, holds a special place in our community's history, and we acknowledge their heritage and presence in our region. And whereas Native American Heritage Month provides an opportunity for all residents to learn about and appreciate the invaluable contributions of Native American peoples to our nation's cultural, social, and political tapestry. And whereas we are committed to fostering understanding, respect, and collaboration among all residents and communities within the City of Ottawa. Now, therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, does hereby proclaim November 2025 to be Native American Heritage Month in Ottawa, Kansas, and urges all residents to take part in activities, events, and cultural opportunities that celebrate Native American heritage and promote cross-cultural awareness. Signed this the 12th day of November 2025 by our mayor. Come on.
Hi, I am Anastasia Dixon Dwyer. I am a member of the Ottawa Tribe and the president of the Native American Student Association at Ottawa University. I would like to say thank you to the members of the council for this proclamation recognizing Native American Heritage Month. This month is an opportunity to honor the cultures, traditions, and contributions of Native peoples past, present, and future. Ottawa, Kansas itself carries the name of the Ottawa tribe, whose history is deeply tied to this land. We established a home here and worked to adapt to a new environment despite great hardship and loss. Later, we were moved again, this time to Oklahoma, where we continue to thrive today. This proclamation is a reminder of that resilience and the importance of preserving Native languages, stories, and ways of life. On behalf of the Ottawa Tribe of Oklahoma and Ottawa University, we deeply appreciate this acknowledgement and your commitment to fostering understanding and respect. Let us work together to ensure that Native voices are heard and celebrated, not just this month, but every day. Thank you, and Chimiigwech.
Thank you very much. Next, we have a proclamation recognizing November 29th, 2025 as Small Business Saturday. This proclamation encourages residents to shop local and support Ottawa's small businesses, recognizing their vital contributions to the community's economy, charter, and quality of life. Sarah Stoffer, Ottawa Main Street, will accept the proclamation, which will be read by Commissioner Crowley.
And as a small business owner in the city of Ottawa for the past 20 years, it's my honor to read this proclamation, which reads as follows. Whereas the small, locally owned businesses of Ottawa are vital to our city's economic health, and whereas locally owned businesses contribute to our unique and vibrant community character. And whereas small businesses contributed 55% of total net job creation from 2013 to 2023, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And whereas, with every $100 spent at a small local retailer, approximately $68 returns to the community through taxes, payroll, and donations to local schools and charities. And whereas, public awareness of the contributions made by Ottawa local businesses is key to sustaining a healthy business climate. And whereas, the people of Ottawa are grateful to the small, locally owned businesses for their generous contribution to the quality of life we all enjoy. And whereas we join American Express, Main Street America, Kansas Main Street, and Ottawa Main Street in supporting America's locally owned small businesses. Now, therefore, the governing body of the city of Ottawa, Kansas does hereby proclaim Saturday, November 29th, 2025 to be Small Business Saturday in Ottawa, Kansas, and urge all residents, community organizations, and visitors to support Ottawa's small businesses by shopping locally, spreading the word, and participating in related events. Signed this 12th day of November 2025 by our mayor.
Thank you guys for the proclamation. Shop Small Saturday is more than just a shopping day. It's a celebration of the people and places that make Ottawa unique. Our local businesses are the heart of our community, and every dollar spent locally helps strengthen our economy, support local jobs, and keep our downtown thriving. I'm grateful for the city's continued support for everyone who chooses to shop small and shop local, not just today, but all year long. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now go on to the consent agenda, which includes minutes from the November 5th, 2025 meeting and the agenda approval. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Seeing and hearing none, we will move, let's see, nothing under unfinished business. We'll go to new business. We'll start with 11A.
Ottawa Main Street Association Third Quarter 2025 Community Partner Report.
And we have Director Stauffer here to present.
In front of you guys, you have a new tourism guide. These are hot off the press, and if you turn to the page that is bookmarked, page 26, you will see Ottawa is now listed. So that is a fun thing to share. We do have it going to the city page for point of contacts on that. We have had a busy third quarter. Looking back, I keep thinking, I actually had to ask exactly what months we're looking at because, you know, how are we already in November? But third quarter looks like a lot of filming for us with Zip Trip and a lot of events. We wrapped up our third Thursdays. We did some accepting of grants in that time. We had the car show. We had common consumption in full swing. We had businesses that had increases of $2,500 in one event in a 4-hour period in common consumption from the year before with no issues. We had other businesses that they might not have sold as many beer, but they sold more food because their tables were able to be cleared. So that's a win as well. Retailers were seeing that an increase in foot traffic as well with it in the doors. We had the Christmas in July Grinch was cited a few times. We had our corners and moms fundraisers, and I was able to receive through Network Kansas a grant to participate in a destination boot camp class in Colorado. So myself and another business owner took off and went to Colorado. I'm hoping to have some more on that here soon. We'll be revealing some things that we're using as tools from that and working on away at things. One of the big things I know I've mentioned to you guys before is the historical tax credits is something we've been working on. We just hit a large milestone for us. We had our 4th approval. In that 4th approval, we hit over $1 million in approvals. That means we have over $1 million in work going on in our downtown buildings. We currently have 6 other applications in the works. So that means there's 6 more jobs that people didn't realize that they could be getting assistance in stacking these projects. We have currently 1 rooms that is underway, and the light pole was just set for that today. So that was exciting to see. In here you see the photos of us receiving the check, and it is way being remodeled right now. That'll be moved into OU housing, I believe, is what it's going to be. So that's all I have at the moment.
Any questions for Director Stauffer? Sounds like you're doing great work. There's a lot
Thank
going
you.
on, and it was a very busy time. So
Thank you.
it's time to take a deep breath and
Yeah.
get prepared for the holidays. Next, we'll move on to item 11B.
Fixed Base Operator Agreement.
Director Welsh will present a request for approval of the Fixed Base Operator FBO Agreement renewal for airport operations.
Good afternoon. So, yes, so I'm here to just ask for approval to move forward with our renewal of the fixed base operator contract. I want to get started just to explain to everybody what the fixed based operator is. So that would be a commercial entity authorized to provide essential aviation services at a public use airport. FBOs serve as the primary point of contact for general aviation operations, offering facilities and support services that enhance safety, efficiency, and customer experience. Typical services provided by the FBO would include aircraft refueling, hangar and tie-down storage, ground handling, aircraft maintenance, flight instruction, and pilot amenities such as lounges and briefing areas. At municipal airports, an FBO also plays the critical role in the daily airport management, ensuring the compliance with FAA and local regulations, while maintaining facilities, coordinating special events, and supporting community outreach and aviation education programs. Doing so by maintaining operational standards and service availability, the FBO helps ensure safe, reliable, and efficient airport operations for both based and transient aircraft. So in 2021, we had our initial contract written to accept Reader Aviation as our fixed base operator. Since that time, we've been very pleased with the service that he has provided to our airport and our community. We've done this a couple of different ways over the years. Before we moved forward with the fixed base operator, at least this latest one, we actually had an airport manager on staff. We had them on staff for a few years, and circumstances unbeknownst to me, we no longer had that. So we moved on. I assume what the conversation was, which way do we want to go? We ended up moving on to the fixed base operator. Since then, it's just been an extreme success. He works very closely with our Aviation Explorers Post 8000, and also works very, very closely and diligently with the city staff to make sure that we're continuing supporting that airport fun day that our community gets to come out and enjoy each year. So this contract is already budgeted for in the 2026 budget. Our city attorney has already looked over this agreement and given his approval. So what we are asking for today would be your approval to move forward and execute this agreement. Or if you would like to think about it and move it on to a different time, we could also do so. If you have any specific questions related to the airport, I would do my best to try to answer, but you'd be happy to know that I also invited our fixed base operator to come and help me answer those questions. So I won't fumble through them too much if you have any technical questions. But I would stand for any of those, or I've got Jim here with me if you would have any questions for him.
Do we have any questions?
Are there any material changes from the previous contract as far as this one here?
This contract looks exactly like the same one in 2021. Since that time, I've had a conversation with Jim, and he's happy with the way that it is written. There was some updates to the rent that was charged out there, so that kind of offset some of the funds. So he was happy with the agreement the way that it is written. So,
Director Welsh, I think Mr. Reader does a great job out there.
Mhm.
And you know how you can tell he does a great job? You don't hear anything about him.
exactly.
And being that that's the case, I would make the motion that we approve item 11B on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
I just add one more thing to it. Jimmy, your reputation reached this dais before we even met you. And it was a good reputation. I want to say that too. So you've proven yourself year after year after year, doing a great job out there. And your partner there, Jack, does a good job too, I know. So good support with Jack Miller is there as well. But yes, I'm very pleased with this contract. I'm glad to see it's a 2-year. I guess it was a 2-year last time as well. So
That's correct.
that's fair. Good. Thanks.
Yeah, and I want to agree, serving on the airport board currently, it just is like Commissioner Crowley said, it's nice that we don't hear about it because it's running so well. So I definitely appreciate all the work you put into it, and Airport Fun Day was a blast. And so we definitely see all that you do out there. May I have roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Clayton?
Yes.
And Mayor Allen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to item 11C.
Consider an ordinance levying a general purpose city retailer sales tax.
This is to consider adoption of an ordinance levying a 1% general purpose city retailer sales tax pursuant to KSA 12-187. And we have City Attorney Finch.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, thanks for the opportunity to appear before you today. At the election last week, the voters of Ottawa spoke. 76% of them supported keeping a 1-cent sales tax for general purposes. This is the next step in that process and gives effect to the will of the voters here in Ottawa by adopting the ordinance to levy that tax. This tax will not go into effect until the existing 1 cent expires June 30 of 2026. This tax would begin July 1 of 2026. And it will, probably won't see any collections from that from the state until September or so of 2026. So I know we're going to have some conversations here upcoming about what purposes those sales tax proceeds will be used for as approved by the voters. But just know that we're probably almost a year away from seeing any of that sales tax revenue come into the city. So this ordinance, if adopted, will then be published. A certified copy of the ordinance and a certified copy of the final canvass of votes will be shared with the Kansas Department of Revenue. They'll let us know if they need anything else to implement the sales tax. Just like all of the other sales taxes here in the city, it will be collected by the state and then remitted to the city. They do the same for the county sales tax. They do the same for the CID and for the state's portion of sales tax. These are the purposes that the voters approved: street, sidewalk, and stormwater improvements, park and quality of life projects, utility infrastructure upgrades, general government operations to limit property tax reliance, and any and all necessary means to give effect to those. You'll note that in the ordinance that is in front of you, the structure is exactly what was voted on by the voters. So those purposes that were on the ballot question that the voters approved last Tuesday are the purposes that are contained in the ordinance that you're adopting today, if you choose to do so. As we've talked about before, the sales tax will help us continue to see containment of property taxes. The current sales tax is worth about 13 mils in property tax revenue. That will continue going forward. That's kind of been a commitment of this commission. It will also allow you some flexibility to do some bonded projects, including roads, as you heard earlier. And as your Public Works Director has provided you in the past, we've started a new program here to define the condition of all the lane miles that we have in the city. And so the sales tax will be used to help make improvements to those roads. We've talked about the fact that our pool was built in the 1960s. And that we need to do something with aquatics and quality of life amenities in the community. So all of those purposes can be fulfilled through adoption of the ordinance, and we can begin making the plans and laying the plans for what will happen next year when those revenues actually come in. I've reviewed the ordinance, and again, it contains the ballot language and the other necessary conditions for the Department of Revenue to collect the sales tax. And our request today from staff is that you approve this ordinance so that we can begin the back end work to make sure the Department of Revenue is ready on July 1 of 2026. I'll stand for any questions you may have.
I don't necessarily have a question, but just a comment. I do appreciate that the wording is exactly the same as how it was on the ballot to show our intentions of that's exactly what it's being used for. So I do really appreciate that. Any questions? How would we like to proceed?
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion. We approve item 11C on our agenda.
Okay,
I will second.
okay. Any further discussion? May I have roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Mayor Pro Tem Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
And Mayor Allen?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to item 11D.
OMA Boiler Bid Award.
Director Evans will present results of the RFP for boiler replacement at the Ottawa Memorial Auditorium.
Good afternoon. I am here to talk about our boiler system, and you guys know I love talking about facilities. It's my favorite thing. So I do have Jared Mann with BG Consultants here to also answer any of those technical questions you may have. Always got to have a friend in your pocket. This project is our final project from the 2022 General Obligation Bond. So we have our cup holders. Now we need to create some redundancy with our heating system. The RFP for the design build proposals was issued on September 20th of this year. There was a mandatory proposal meeting held on October 13th. We had two contractors attend that, BCI Mechanical and Helm Service. Proposals were due on October 28th and were opened in this room at 10 o'clock that morning. So the scope of this project replaces our existing low-pressure steam boiler, which was installed in the late 1990s, with 2 modular high-efficiency water boilers. And this is exciting because currently, if our boiler goes down, we don't have a backup for any redundancy, which it has done before in a cold month when the governor was attending an event at the auditorium. This would provide us that redundancy. It also includes new heating water pumps and piping, new heating coils for the main auditorium air handler, updating our control system, demolition of obsolete steam piping and unit heaters, which kind of coincides with our kitchen remodel too, because some of that steam piping goes directly through the kitchen, which is a good place to be. There will be some electrical modifications and restoration to impacted building finishes. We went with the design build delivery method to streamline the coordination between design and construction teams, minimizing the disruption to our operations. 2 firms submitted proposals in response to the RFP, BCI Mechanical and Helm Service, and BG Consultants, Jared Mann, did the scoring of that relating to the RFP criteria, and you can see those outlined there. Helm Service receiving a 7.35 with a proposal amount of $150,000. BCI Mechanical scoring 9.58. Their proposal amount is $174,860. BG Consultants noted that Helm Services proposal lacked required submittals such as project management plan, resumes of key staff, and a project timeline. BCI Mechanical's proposal was more complete, but 17% higher in cost. And Jared can speak to this if you have questions, but at this time, they concluded that BCI's proposal represented the most qualified response based on the criteria of the RFP. The project again will be funded through the 2022 general obligation bond. The budget for that project was $175,000, and both of these proposals are, within that bond capacity. We would have the city attorney approve all contracts before they are executed. So as far as recommendation or action tonight or this afternoon, you could accept the proposal from BCI Mechanical as the highest scoring and most qualified response based on the RFP evaluation and execute that contract, or waive the scoring matrix and execute a contract with Helm Service at the lower amount of $150,000, or reject both responses, revise the RFP, send it back out, or we can also think about this and discuss it at a future meeting. As far as how this coincides with the city's strategic pillars, as far as infrastructure and stewardship of resources, this replaces outdated and inefficient mechanical systems. We've had many HVAC failures in my 8 years at the auditorium, and I feel like this is one that lets us be a little proactive instead of reactive, as far as, not having a boiler completely go down on us. Economic development and job creation. This preserves a key community asset that attracts tourism, contributes to downtown vitality, and supports local contractors. And then as far as quality of life and community engagement, this helps us maintain a safe, comfortable, and functional public gathering space for our residents and community. And I would love to have myself or Jared answer any questions that you may have.
Do we have any questions?
Tiffany, can you go back a couple slides, please, to the matrix?
Yes.
Jared, I'm assuming this isn't the first time that you've received bids from either one of these contractors?
It is the first time that I've personally had a bid from Helm Service.
It is the first time. Okay,
Yes,
that's kind of where I was leaning towards. So, can you tell me, I understand they're 7.35, and the percentages above it, but can you tell me what kind of was bringing their score down
Certainly.
outside of, I guess, the 2 kind of things you mentioned after this?
Well, really, if I believe in your package, you'll have a letter dated November 3rd that I had included. And that includes a full evaluation of all the scoring and how those scores went together. So The areas in which Helm did not receive full marks were three. The first was the technical approach, and the note that I included in that noted that there were multiple exclusions listed, including for electrical work, quote, unless otherwise noted. I reached out to Helm via email to clarify that, in fact, that work was included in their turnkey project, and that was just some standard language that they did not edit in their proposal. Their technical approach that they listed largely mimicked the language from the RFP, which wasn't incorrect, but compared to the enhanced detail and process that BCI included in theirs, it just didn't score as highly. The second area where they did not receive full marks was the experience and reference category. My notes under that noted that they did provide 4 references, and I reached out to all 4. 2 of them I was able to speak to, and they were both very positive. However, the reference work that they included did not include any work with their proposed subcontractors or consultants. And they didn't include any projects that are references for those subcontractors or consultants. In fact, the proposal didn't include those names at all. I also had to reach out and ask if they would be doing all the work in-house, or if they would be engaging people, and they informed me that they would. Gave me who those people would be, but I still didn't have any information in the RFP, so the score was lower on that. The last area was project timeline. They received a score of 0 on that 10% of the scoring because they just didn't address that in their RFP. I don't doubt that they were assuming that they could do it within what was included in the RFP as far as a proposed timeline, but they just didn't address it in the RFP, so I had to score it that way.
Thank you.
Jared, on that boiler, you said it's been since the 1990s. I guess that has been 30 years ago. Is that typical age for a boiler like this?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is at or past its expected useful life.
We got our money's worth, in other words.
And then some.
And then some. I liked hearing that part too,
Yes.
especially. Well, we've done a lot of work with BCI Mechanical in our past. I mean, around the city, not just at your place, but other places around the city, haven't we? I think.
They're approved to do a project on City Hall.
So that's what I was thinking. It looked familiar to me there. So, but okay.
Any other questions?
And it came in under budget, $140. So that's good news too, right?
Yes, it is.
As a contractor for 20 years, I'm used to, I'm a bidder, but I'm also used to looking at bids, and you always hear the concerns about the low bidder. And to me, as Commissioner Skidmore was saying, we have a relationship with BCI. We know what we're going to get out of them. They're local. We just talked about small businesses, and spending our money local, and that money 58% will come back to our economy, hopefully. So, I understand trying to save, $24,860, but I worry about what, those deficiencies that were in Helm's bids and what that could end up costing us down the road. It could be that additional $25,000, if not more. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm concerned about the missing information, whether, intentional or not. It still makes me nervous that it was not a complete set of information on that.
If I could, I would just like to point out the reason that this was sent out as a request for proposal with the scoring matrix as opposed to just a hard bid, price-based proposal, was because the design has not been completed on this yet. It's a design build proposal, meaning that the proposers needed to bring their engineering, bring their design, and that complete package. And so because of that, it was important to have a lot of the qualifications information and the references and a lot of those other things to make sure that we knew what they were bringing. And so none of that's to say that I believe that Helm would do a bad job, just that their proposal did not score as highly.
Are you surprised we just had 2 bids? What do you?
I was a little disappointed, but not overly surprised. If you'll recall, the project with a similar RFP format that we had for the work here in City Hall just a few weeks ago, BCI was the only one who ended up submitting, even though we started out with interest from multiple bidders. So how that might or might not have played into it, I can't say, but I will say that I did receive a phone call very late in the process from a third contractor asking for some information on the project. That was after the pre-proposal meeting, which was listed as mandatory in the documents, was already held. And I informed them of that, and they thanked me for my time and hung up. So it's possible that had we changed the rules midstream, we could have had a third one, but I didn't feel like that was the right way to go either.
How would we like to proceed on this?
I'll make the motion. We approve item 11D on our agenda, going with PCI Mechanical.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? May I have roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
And Mayor Allen?
And I vote yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to item 11E.
Review of 2026 Community Partner Funding Agreements.
City Attorney Finch will review the draft 2026 Community Partner Funding Agreement.
Good afternoon again, Mayor and Commissioners. This is the time of year when we review those partnership agreements that the city has with 4 different entities in the community. And as we were preparing for this today, I was thinking a little bit about partnership and the nature of partnership. There's a famous court case, the Meinhard case, where Justice Benjamin Cardozo talked about partnership and joint ventures that one might participate in. And he writes that joint adventurers like co-partners owe to one another, while the enterprise continues, the duty of the finest loyalty. Many forms of conduct permissible in a workaday world for those acting at arm's length are forbidden to those bound by fiduciary ties. A trustee is held to something stricter than the morals of the marketplace. Not honesty alone, but the punctilio of an honor the most sensitive is then the standard of behavior. These are called partnership agreements for a reason. They represent you making a decision that taxes paid by taxpayers, which must be paid, are given to another entity to carry out some task. And so it is very important as you consider these agreements that you consider the return on investment to the city, that you consider the terms of the agreement that you have, that you consider the partnership that is being created each and every time you engage in one of these community partnership agreements. So the 4 partners that the city has for the 25 calendar year were the Prairie Paws Animal Shelter, the Elizabeth Layton Center, Ottawa Main Street Association, and Franklin County Development Council. You have, as part of your 26 budget, allocated funds, but that is simply an allocation of funds. The commission still has the ultimate discretion to consider those relationships, and we're coming into the season where we consider those relationships and talk through those things as part of this discussion about community partnership agreements. So we're putting these before you today, not for any specific action, but to remind you of the 4 agreements, to remind you of the unique status that exists between the city and these 4 partners, and to see if you have questions, comments, or things, more information that you want us to gather as your staff as you go through the process of considering these agreements for the 2026 calendar year. And with that, I'll stand for any questions that you may have.
Anyone have any questions? I was just looking, I was trying to look up some of the history. Were most of these new or requests for the next year, were they flat or were they increased requests? Do you know? I know FCD.
I think there were several requests for increases. I think you kept them mostly flat. I
Yeah.
think Melanie has the page right here.
So there was a small increase for Prairie Paws.
Okay.
City Attorney Finch, is there a threshold for these community partners at which we require these partnership agreements? I know we had some, the chamber looked at like $10,000 that were smaller. Would we do this type of agreement for any amount that we would fund? Or is there a certain dollar amount above which we would consider this?
Yeah, Commissioner Clayton, you've not had in the past, and prior commissions have not had a hard and fast rule on that. From a legal standpoint, I would recommend to you that you do consider, all of these are fairly sizable. I think the smallest is maybe in the Elizabeth Layton range, but I would say if it's more than 5,000, you would want to consider this. If it's more than one time, in other words, if you are looking to have a relationship that exceeds 1 year, you anticipate coming back and having the conversation again, or if there is a service that is being delivered as part of it. And I think I would argue to you that one of the suggested improvements I would make to this system is where we slot in Prairie Paws, because Prairie Paws actually is providing a service in exchange for their funds. And that may be something where you have them report directly to one of your city departments in the future, but you have a service delivery that is required of that agreement that's kind of unique in terms of animal control, and a service that the city at one point provided and no longer does. But to your specific question, we do not have a hard and fast policy or custom on what amount qualifies. If you wanted to create one, we could certainly do that.
Thank you.
Melanie?
Also, Mayor, or the City Commission, you asked about the increases. So for Prairie Paws, the increase for 26 is $1,030. The increase for Ottawa Main Street is $5,000, and the increase for ELC is $710.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions for this evening on these before we think about them? Okay, no other questions, so we'll review them.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to comments by the city manager.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, just want to hit a couple of items here. The utility crews have been busy enhancing our existing utility infrastructure. They installed 705 new feet of new water main that was connected to 7th Street and placed into operation. Our Public Works has been painting our public parking spaces in city parking lots, and they're continuing to proceed with painting crosswalks, and will begin continuance of the crack sealing there, on North Main Street. We have some upcoming events for the community here. On Monday, November 17th, we'll have some active threat event hosted by OPD. We'll have Christmas music bingo on November 20th. We'll have the mayor's Christmas tree lighting on Saturday, November 29th, downtown at 4:30 here. And look forward to folks being able to turn out for the tree lighting and the Candyland Christmas parade at 5:30. And want to point out that we've got some positions available if someone's looking for employment. We've got some part-time positions at the OMA regarding an events assistant and a light and sound technician, as well as a street maintenance worker. We're hiring for a police officer, and our property improvement partner is that was recently filled is moving on to be a minister full-time. And so he's had, I guess you would say, a higher calling to service. We've got upcoming items here. For the 19th, we'll have our community partner monthly reports that were discussed, and several items. I do want to point out that Commissioner Clayton had requested the street plan project, and as you're aware, we are working on a more detailed, longer term presentation, because it's something that requires estimating and projecting cash flows so that we can time and sequence the most prudent use of our tax dollars in ensuring that we're able to turn over these projects in a way that's not taking sales tax dollars and applying it directly to debt service payments. And we're not then able to fulfill some of the extra conditions that we had set forth with the sales tax initiative. So one of the things that we want to be able to do with that is to give you a thorough plan, but we'll provide some concepts to you at this next meeting. And that's what that is with the detailed living document, because it will change over time, set for presentation in the early part of 2026. And with that, that is my report. If there are no questions for myself or another member of the team.
I don't have a question, just a comment. I know the community is being vocal about wanting a crosswalk at 15th and Ash, and I mean, there's a crosswalk there, but improved crosswalk conditions. Can we get an update on that just in the future? I understand it likely won't be on the 19th, but at the next meeting after that or something, just a quick update on what that process looks like, and where we're at in that. So if we could do that at some point.
Correct. And we are in the process and had started several weeks back on an internal review and had been in contact with our city engineer regarding a full-blown traffic assessment. And so we're following the framework of the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the MUTCD. And so we will be reporting back to that and the concerned citizens, understandably, as far as what the status on that is. But it does take time, and it does take monitoring and data collecting for trip counts, et cetera.
Yeah, very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. We'll move on to comments by the governing body. We'll start with Commissioner Skidmore.
Well, just a real quick congratulations to Ottawa High School football team. They're going to Labette County on Friday night to play them. So one more step to get closer to the state. So congratulations to the football team.
Commissioner Crowley.
I have no comment.
Commissioner Kaler.
None at this time.
Mayor Pro Tem Clayton.
I as well just want to extend congratulations to the high school football team on their success, and want to give a shout out to Sarah with Ottawa Main Street and Tiffany with OMA for the dueling pianos event this weekend. Attended that, and it was a fantastic time. And just want to shout out both of those groups for putting that on. It was a great experience, and if you get the chance to go, and it is happening again next year, make sure you get down there and check it out.
Thank you. And I have no comment. So we'll move on to announcements. November 19th, we have a city commission meeting at 10 a.m. at City Hall. November 26th meeting will likely be canceled due to the holiday. If not, it's at 4 p.m. here at City Hall. And December 3rd, we have a city commission meeting at 7 p.m. at City Hall. It looks like we need to have an executive session.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner.
I move that the commission recess into executive session to engage in privileged and confidential communication with the board's attorney pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception, KSA 7543-19B2. The open meeting resume in this room at, how much time do you need? Sorry.
5:15.
It will
We'll come
resume
back
at
here at
5:15? Yeah, resume at 5:15.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. We're in executive session. Okay, do we have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a
Second.
second? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I will call the meeting, regular meeting back to order, and we have no other business, so I will adjourn.